Hey guys, what's up? It's Frank here from Altcoin Buzz. Today we have another exciting cryptocurrency to cover, which is AAVE. AAVE, currently in 50th place, has seen 33.7% growth over the past 7 days. When you compare that to the top 100 coins, you can see that it actually places third in terms of all the top 100 coins over the past 7 days. Now, of course, AAVE is in a massive downtrend, but what makes this exciting is that because of the volatility, there is the potential for a lot of gains. But there are some important indicators that you need to be watching out for, which will let us know if it is a good time to enter. So in this video, I will tell you whether or not I think AAVE is a good buy right now, and if not, then at which levels would be good for you to enter, as well as the indicators you need to be watching out for to time your entry perfectly. Now, for those of you who don't know, Altcoin Buzz is first and foremost a crypto investment research company, and we have been providing you numerous 100x returns since 2017. So if you want to get in on that action, join our Altcoin Buzz Access group, where we document up-to-date research covering undervalued altcoin gems, NFT minting opportunities, and our portfolio strategies. So click the link up above or in the pinned comment section down below to take part in the action today. Also, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so that you don't miss any future updates. And finally, please note that none of this is financial advice. Okay, so starting off, as you probably know if you've been on the channel for any amount of time, I love to look at the bigger time frames to really get perspective, and I recommend this to anyone. It's one of the biggest mistakes that amateur traders make, actually, is to just look at the trading time frame. But there's this thing called the HTF, or the higher time frame, and that is what gives you perspective on the trading time frame. All right, so that's what we're doing here. And here, as you can see, we've seen a 93% retracement, which is about 5% more than the average cryptocurrency in the top 20 cryptocurrencies. And this is quite normal when you have an asset which is very new. AAVE only came on the market here on the 12th of October, and of course, which has a relatively low market cap compared to some of the cryptocurrencies that we usually cover. That being said, it also means that it's more volatile, and therefore, if you can get your timing right for an entry, you can potentially get a really good price. Now, the other important thing to note here, of course, is this massive descending wedge. When we break out of this, of course, it'll likely be weeks before we do break out of it. But if and when we do break out of it, I suspect it to be very likely that we will see movement to the upside, because we have three very clear resistances on this upper diagonal line. So once we break it, a lot of traders will take note of that. Now, in the last video that I posted on AAVE about a month ago on the channel, I pointed out to you that we had this bullish divergence where we saw a lower low on the price, and we saw a higher high on the RSI and a higher high on the MACD. And I pointed out how we would likely see a relief rally thereafter. Now, of course, this relief rally was very short-lived, but nonetheless, we did see 3 weeks of green. So it's very important to watch out for these bullish divergences when they are on these larger time frames, like the weekly time frame. They very often lead to some weeks of recovery. Okay, before we get onto the daily time frame to look at the nitty-gritty of which levels to be entering for a potential trade on AAVE, I just want to bring your attention to Bitcoin dominance, because if you're trading altcoins, you really want to know if Bitcoin dominance is in an uptrend or not. And for a very long time, Bitcoin was forming this rather bearish pattern, this descending triangle, from which we could have broken bearish, but we actually broke bullish. And what has happened now is that we have started an uptrend on the weekly chart, and we are potentially at the very bottom of a leg going down. In other words, this might be the bottom for Bitcoin dominance for quite a while. So this often happens during bear markets, is that Bitcoin dominance increases, because when altcoins fall, they fall more than Bitcoin does. So just something to be aware of. It might be an idea to have some Bitcoin on hand. I certainly have most of my portfolio in Bitcoin right now. But of course, if you want the massive gains, you have to take the bigger risks. And for that, we are now looking at AAVE BTC. This is the AAVE BTC chart, of course, comparing AAVE to Bitcoin. And if you zoom out here, you can see that we are at a make or break moment here. And why is that? Well, that is because this zone between the 2,800 sat and the 3,500 sat level is a very high volume zone. You can see that we've spent many weeks in the past in this zone. So if we can break out of this, in other words, if we can break out of the 3,887 sat level, this will be a very good sign. Why? Number one, we will have a clear support. In other words, traders love to have a support when they're entering a long trade because it means you have a very clear stop loss, okay? And it creates a base from which to have a move up. And the other reason is that we are creating this box pattern, which has this double bottom over here and this double top up here, which is technically a bear flag. I'm not going to lie. We are in a downtrend, a box pattern thereafter, more likely than not breaks bearish. But if we can break this 3,887 sat level, this will be a very good sign that we potentially will see more upside growth on AAVE USDT as well. So again, if you're trading altcoins, make sure that you always check out how they are performing compared to Bitcoin. Okay, now back to AAVE. Here we are on the daily time frame. I'm just going to show you these 3 bear flags. So the past 2 bear flags that we had broke bearish. As you can see, once we had a candle break below this bear flag on the daily time frame, we saw a big move down, all right, 60%. Here again, one candle breaking below it, and we saw a 54% move down. So right now we are forming yet another bear flag. So the question is, are we going to break bearish from this as well? Well, technically the trend is your friend, and you want to be very careful about trying to fade the trend, which is trying to reach a bottom or a top and try and trade in the opposite direction. But that being said, I think it's significantly less likely that this bear flag will break bearish compared to the other ones. I don't think it's likely that we will break bullish, but I'm saying it's less likely that we will break bearish. Why? Because again, similar to AAVE BTC, we have a massive volume profile here. This volume profile is showing us that in this range between $53 and $80 is a very critical level. And if you look at the move up that we had for AAVE back here at the end of 2021, you saw we created this base, right? We had a double bottom here at $50. Then we struggled at this price, a lot of back and forth, and then we shot up from there. So it's no surprise that now that we're coming back to this zone that we're finding a support right now. And I think it's more likely than not actually that we will find support at this level and see some sort of relief rally. Not necessarily break this descending wedge, that's a tall order, but even if we were to get to the top of this descending wedge, we could see potentially a 60% move up. All right, now with that being said, when would be a good time to enter? For that, let's have a look at the lower time frame. So on the 4-hour time frame here, it's looking pretty good. We have this uptrend which has started, but now of course we are at this critical point here where the 4-hour uptrend might break, and for that we really need to hold basically the level we're at right now, the $68 level. So interestingly, now would be an interesting time to enter and then stop loss directly below this. I think it's a pretty high risk trade. In general, you want to have a wider stop loss, but for those traders looking for a higher risk, higher reward trade, this could be an interesting one, entering at $68, stopping the trade at $66 or so. But another potential entry would be at the top of this previous high volume zone at the 63.6 level, or let's just call it a little bit lower, the $63 level. And the reason I put it a little bit lower is that over the coming couple of days, if we do move down, there is potential that we will find support at this bottom diagonal line. And of course here, if we break below this diagonal line, if we have a daily close below this diagonal line, then of course it'll be a very clear sign to get out of the trade. So these are the two most immediate supports. And then the support below that would be this double bottom here at 54.6. Again, if we break out of that, then it's not going to be looking good for AAVE. So in conclusion, it's a high risk, high reward trade to enter at the current level. But if we fall down to the $63 level, it might provide a more likely chance of success. Still, don't forget that we are in a downtrend, and if you are going to enter this trade, you need to have a solid risk to reward. In other words, you need to be able to profit at least 3 or 4 times as much as you would from your loss on this trade. So for that reason, let's have a look at where you might want to take profit. So let's say that you do wait patiently for us to reach the $63 level, and you place your stop below the $54 level over here. So as I said, you want to have at least, I would say, a risk to reward ratio of 3 to 1. So that would put us here at the $91 level. Now, is it likely that the price would reach that level? I do think it is actually quite likely that it would reach that level. In fact, it could reach that level and we could still be in this bear flag if we have a move down here and then coming right back up to the top of this bear flag. So that would definitely be a good place to take some initial profits. But what I want to show you is actually a bit more exciting, is this big move down that we've had ever since the beginning of April here. We've had basically no notable retracements. And what traders often do is we look at the Fibonacci retracement of a big move, and we use that to gauge where the trend might stop. So in other words, if we have a small uptrend starting here, another good place to take profit would be at the 382, and that's of course the $129 level. But again, you want to have some confluence, so let's just say the previous high, the $123 level at this point. And then I would say the third resistance would be somewhere at this diagonal line. We're likely to see some sort of resistance if we enter there. So let's say at the psychological $100 level. So the resistance, in summary, is first of all, actually, it's the previous daily high at the $82.4 level. Secondly, it's at the $100 level, and thirdly, at the $123 level. Then the support levels are the 68, the 63.1, and the $54.6 levels. Now, just a reminder that I am not a financial advisor, and please trade at your own risk. I'm just here to present some potential trade ideas for you to evaluate for yourself. All right, that's been it for me for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something. Don't forget to check out our other videos. We cover technical analysis, fundamental analysis, on-chain analysis, cryptocurrencies. That's what we talk about every day here at Altcoin Buzz. And with that being said, I'll see you in the next one.